Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. Here's what we have in the bulletin. Displeased, opposition not satisfied with Transport Minister's utterances over last week's closure of Sanks International Runway. Police intensifying operations in Gregory Park, St. Catherine following flare-up of violence. And later in sports, Spain advances to first ever FIFA Women's World Cup final. Thank you for joining us. I'm Machel Montano and here are the details. Opposition spokesman on transport, Michael Phillips, says he is not satisfied with Mr. Vaz's response to the closure of the runway following yesterday's meeting with stakeholders. Transport Minister Darrell Vaz on Monday gave instructions that more stringent oversight be observed at the Sanks International Airport to prevent a recurrence of last week's incident, which led to a temporary closure of the runway. He also instructed that a report be requested from the contractors, Legan Aviation and Infrastructure Limited. Mr. Vaz says directives were also given for the Jamaica Civil Aviation Authority and Airports Authority of Jamaica to work with an independent team to undertake an operation safety audit and assessment of both Sangster and Norman Manley International Airports by August 31. But Mr. Phillips says the statement is lacking critical information.
The tower didn't give the minister any clearance for landing. This is a holding statement for the minister. It is not clear of what any preliminary investigation have highlighted and whose responsibility. I said previously that the minister has a responsibility to protect the reputation of Jamaica's civil aviation industry. This isn't giving any confidence that the minister is on top of things. I expected that the minister would, in issuing any instructions, would at least give some timeline for these reports to be done.
Mr. Phillips says there are questions which remained unanswered about the decision to close the runway at Sangster International.
It still begs the question of the responsibility of MBJ and the landlord, who is the Airports Authority of Jamaica, where it is that they came into giving instructions to close down the airport, and for the reasons, because obviously if all was sitting at the table at the same time, the same instructions that they gave later in the afternoon to shorten the length of the runway could have been considered and could have averted closing down the airport. But obviously MBJ has some responsibility in this, and I would love to hear from the minister what role did the Airports Authority play in the decision that was made last week in closing the airport.
Despite a walkthrough of the Gregory Park community last week by the security forces, dozens of people were left homeless after their houses were firebombed. It led to Prime Minister Andrew Holness yesterday touring the community, labeling the attack by criminals as a terrorist attack. But the St. Catherine South Police say they will maintain a presence in the community. Carrie Simpson reports.
Some residents in Gregory Park, St. Catherine are still on edge following two brazen gun attacks earlier this week. They are fearful they do not know when another attack could happen. But the police in the division say things will not be allowed to escalate as they have increased their presence.
Most persons on some of the avenues are locked up in their homes, and I guess due to fear, due to the recent murder in the space. The most recent being a senior citizen who was killed.
Territorial Officer for the St. Catherine South Police Division, DSP Paulette Baker, says following the attacks, the police have been carrying out routine patrols in the Gregory Park community to reduce the likelihood of any reprisals. This, she says, as the area is one of the crime hotspots for the St. Catherine South Police Division. They were speaking during a walkthrough of the Gregory Park community. PNP Councillor Caretaker for the division, Oral Gunning, says the residents are grateful for the attention the community has received. However, he hopes the attention will not be a one-off.
It tells that the community just need people to intervene from time to time and to be proactive in whatever we do, so we can encourage them, so that they can at least feel comfortable and safe in the home.
In the meantime, the police say a number of initiatives will be launched in the space to aid the reduction of crime and violence.
We have been having dialogue with citizens as to the groups or any type of formal groups, whether or not they have any in this space. And it is our intention as community safety officers to come in to sit with citizens, members of the community, and to see what we can get going as it relates to an organized group.
Carrie Ann Simpson, TVJ News.
The Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Corporation and by extension the government are being blasted for giving the keys to the city of Kingston to soca legend Machel Montano. There has been outrage since the gesture was made at the country's independence celebrations on Sunday, August 6. Former president for the Jamaica Evangelical Alliance, Reverend Dr. Peter Garth, says giving the key to Mr. Montano, who has a checkered past, does not send the right message to Jamaicans.
Oh, I don't grudge that person for being given the keys. But when you look at some of the videos that were there in Trinidad, where he went to the front and allowed women to handle that which they should not have handled, and he becomes an honoree in Jamaica, Jamaica is in trouble.
Machel Montano was found guilty on 5 criminal charges in Port of Spain, Trinidad and Tobago in December 2012. 4 of the charges were for assault, while the other was for the use of indecent language. Reverend Dr. Garth believes that there are Jamaicans who could have been given the honor. It's why he believes the moral fabric of Jamaica has been significantly depleted. 2 regional media entities have joined the Caribbean Broadcasting Union, CBU. Speaking at the opening ceremony of CBU's 54th Annual General Assembly in Antigua and Barbuda, CBU President Dr. Claire Grant made the announcement.
New to the union is Union Newsroom Inc. of Guyana, and rejoining the union is the Grenada Broadcasting Network.
Dr. Grant also revealed CBU's plan to continue its partnership with the University of the West Indies, as it has so far been reaping success. The partnership allows graduate-level training to supervisors, managers, and CEOs of member organizations. The institution provided tuition-free access to selected courses to CBU members, after which regional media houses offered job placements to the graduates.
11 applications were received and approved from 6 organizations in Trinidad and Tobago, Barbados, Anguilla, and Jamaica. In January 2023, special admission to audit courses in media management masters was offered once again to CBU personnel. And we are moving forward with a new cohort next month. And this, we might say, is a truly productive and sustainable partnership.
2 illegal firearms and ammunition were seized in St. James yesterday as members of the security forces heightened operations on the western end of the island. 2 Glock pistols and magazines containing several rounds of ammunition were seized along the Jimmy Cliff Boulevard. The weapons and ammunition were reportedly found after the police stopped and searched a vehicle in the area. 2 women and a man were arrested in relation to the seizure. Uncertainty is looming among staff, students and parents of the Seaforth High School in St. Thomas following the recent dismissal of Principal Calbert Thomas. The teachers say they are not sure why the principal was dismissed because there was no meeting with the staff prior to his sacking. They say they are also uncertain of their future based on how the matter was handled. A requested meeting with Board Chairman Dean Jones and other representatives has not yet materialized. And as promised, they staged a protest on the Seaforth Square Tuesday morning. Some of those who spoke with our news team were emotional in their call for Mr. Thomas to be reinstated.
We want back Mr. T. We want him back. And it's no joke. Favour Williams and everybody else who is in authority, please give us back Mr. T in September. Because this school is going to go down to nothing.
They say it will not be business as usual come September 4.
If Mr. T is not back in his position by September 4, I can tell you that I will be there in my black dressed out in black again, because I will be protesting. Even if nobody else is around there with me, I will be protesting. No, Mr. Calvert Thomas. No, no, Mr. Calvert Thomas. No.
Torpedo Foundation has announced the launch of a school engineering program in which it will conduct a case study with 50 financially challenged students for 6 years. The aim of the program is to assist families across the island with school and business development expenses. The foundation kick-started activities at Hope Gardens recently.
A psychological de-stress event. That's how Saturday's gathering at Hope Gardens is being labeled. The Torpedo Foundation hosted the event as part of its social engineering program, inviting children along with their parents and guardians from St. Catherine to take part in the activities.
This today, oh my God, it's so breathtaking. It's a breath of fresh air for me and my daughter. My mind kind of more relaxed. And we're having fun, a lot of fun with our children. This is all about the children, them. That's the reason why we're here.
Chairman of the Torpedo Foundation, Ron Silvera, said the program seeks to provide guidance and mentorship for less fortunate students. The foundation will also be providing parents with loans to start or enhance businesses.
Of the 50 kids that we're choosing, the mothers and the parents of these kids are normally preferred borrowers. We are going to target them as persons who are going to give loans, and we call these loans, as we say at the company, the sympathetic loans.
The chairman made an appeal to corporate Jamaica to take part in the initiative.
There's so much more that can be done, right? Come out, give some support. We are putting a system in place, as I said, we're alone on this, Torpedo loans, but we are inviting others who think that it makes sense to come and assist.
Kirk Wright, TVJ News.
Annual inflation at the end of July was 6.6%. July 2023 CPI, or Consumer Prices Index, was 130.8 in comparison to 129.5 for the previous month. The Statistical Institute of Jamaica Statin says the increase in the cost of goods and services was influenced by a 2.3% increase in the category food and non-alcoholic beverages. Looking at July alone, the Consumer Price Index CPI increased by 1.1%. And it's now time for the Business Minute.
Operators of Highway 2000 East-West, a Trans-Jamaican highway, realized a $5 million increase in net profit at the end of its second quarter. After meeting tax obligations, the company made $6 million compared to $1.4 million last year. The quarter's outturn brought Trans-Jamaican's mid-year earnings to $11 million. The company says the quarter's performance reflects continued growth in usage of the toll. Looking at revenues, Trans-Jamaican Highway made $18.2 million for the 3 months. This reflects an 18% improvement compared to the $15.4 million income at Q2 last year. For the 6 months to June this year, the toll operators made $36.2 million. Further afield, Swiss bank UBS has agreed to pay $1.4 billion to resolve fraud claims in the US stemming from the 2008 financial crisis. It brings to a close the last case brought by US prosecutors investigating banks' conduct in the run-up to the crash, which sparked a global downturn. Prosecutors say the bank had lied about the quality of mortgages that were packaged and sold to investors in a series of deals in 2006-2007. UBS did not admit or deny the claims. And that's it for the Business Minute. I'm Hal Shane Burke.
Time now for the top regional and international stories.
In the region, Guyana is threatening to sanction Inter-Caribbean Airways following reports of prolonged flight delays and cancellations. Senior government officials and members of the Guyana Civil Aviation Authority reportedly met with representatives of the airline to address the concerns of travelers. The airline indicated that there were issues with crew and other internal matters. The country says further action will be taken if the airline fails to fulfill its obligations. And former U.S. President Donald Trump has been charged with attempting to overturn his 2020 election defeat in the state of Georgia. It is the fourth criminal case brought against him in months. Trump was indicted along with 18 other allies. He denies all 13 charges against him, which include racketeering and election meddling, describing them as politically motivated. And those were the top regional and international stories. I'm Hal Shaneberg.
And we head to a quick break. When we come back, Jermaine Brown will have your midday sports report.